This week on Music Worth Buying, we're going to be checking out I Can't Imagine by Shelby Lynn.
And Zoom from the Knack.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of Music Worth Buying. My name's TJR. I am a musician and also a music writer.
And my name is Robert Kinsler, and I'm a music writer and a musician.
Absolutely. And so, we've both picked out some albums that we are excited about out of all the albums we've been checking out over the weeks and months, and we want to share our picks for you here. So, I'm going to start off today's episode with I Can't Imagine by Shelby Lynn. And Shelby Lynn, I'm kind of a new convert to her music. On our old channel, I reviewed the 5-song EP that she released that was called Thanks. I came across it kind of by accident, actually.
Great EP, fantastic.
And boy, was it ever.
Yeah.
It was just filled with so much exuberance and joy. It was a very spiritual album.
Very spiritual,
it dealt with spiritual themes, something I'm sometimes normally kind of have a distaste for. I kind of, when you say, oh, Christian rock, I kind of get like, yeah, no, thank you. But there was just, this album was so filled with just exuberance and joy and joyfulness that it was infectious, and it really reached me and moved me, and I never felt like I was being preached at. So here is I Can't Imagine, which is a full-length album now. I Can't Imagine is different, not in a bad way, but it is different from Thanks. This is a much more reflective album. This is a much more introspective album, a much more thoughtful album. It's still, but it is a great album too, as well. This is an album that has a very West Coast sound, in my opinion. I think fans of the West Coast folk rock will enjoy it. The Laurel Canyon sound, exactly. The Laurel Canyon scene. Also, I think it will appeal to people who like the sort of southern soulful blues, like, say, a good example would be the Allman Brothers. I think is a good example. Shelby Lynn, I guess when I put this into my iTunes, it came in as folk and country, and those elements are certainly there too. But I think Shelby Lynn is kind of, she was considered at one time, modern country. I think she's moved well beyond that now to where she is just who she is. Yeah, she's Shelby Lynn. Yeah, she's Shelby Lynn. Yeah, she's Shelby Lynn. That's just like Johnny Cash. We, was considered country. Now he's just Johnny Cash. Yeah, exactly. You can't really define him.
He really has his own kind of identity and his own musical moniker there. Yeah.
I don't think you can really. I think the same is for her, at least from this album and from what the EP I've heard in the past. So let's check out a track here. This is the opening track to the album, and it's called Paper Van Gogh.
Paper Van Gogh, watercolor art. Lay my feelings on my origami card. My paper Van
Gogh. I really like that. This is my first listen, obviously. I've heard Shelby Lynn, I've seen her in concert and stuff. Beautiful. It occurred to me, kind of like what you were talking about, that it's like you hear some of these different Americana and roots styles rolled into one, but at the end of the day, she's kind of like a Bonnie Raitt or a Jackson Browne. She just kind of is her own person, both musically and artistically and stuff, and it just really, you immediately settle into her world and you want to listen. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, this first song is one that she wrote on her own. 5 of the tracks on the album she's written solo. And I wanted to mention to you, 2 of them she's written with singer-songwriter Ron Sexsmith, whom I know you're a fan of.
Big fan of, yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
I thought, and for fans of Ron Sexsmith, you should know that.
Yeah.
And then the rest written with some of her bandmates. And I think this track that I played for you is kind of typical of what you're going to hear with the rest of the songs on this album. These are all very thoughtful, introspective songs. Her lyric writing is on this song and all the other songs is just very personal. It's open to interpretation. I think she's being very personal. She's drawing from her own experience, but she's also writing in a way that is abstract enough, is that the right word?
Yeah, yeah.
That it still leaves it accessible to your own personal interpretation, to what you've dealt with in your life. but yeah, I'm really kind of like knocked out more so by the lyrics in this album than with Thanks. Not that the Thanks lyrics were good. I love that EP, but I think I'm even more impressed with her. I think you can get more in depth into lyrics of this album because of the nature of the music. It invites you to sit down, read the lyrics, and as you're listening to it, it invites you to ponder it more than say Thanks would. Thanks just wants you to enjoy the exuberance and joy. This album wants you to sit down and really think about it, and it musically invites you to do that.
Great. Yeah.
Packaging-wise, this comes in a mini vinyl gatefold. There we go, front and back, and interior.
Yeah, very nice.
And yeah, it is beautiful. The color is beautiful. Here is the booklet, which also here's the front and back of the booklet. Full color. Here we go. And inside, of course, it has lyrics. Lyrics are very easy to read. So well put together, in my opinion. And there we go.
Very nice.
But so let's go ahead. We'll take a listen to another track. This is one track that is atypical of the album, and that it's a little bit more aggressive than the rest of the album. This song is called Down Here.
Down in the country, out in the hills, out in the country, the $3 bill.
You know, my first listen and just floored me. Just an amazing song. I almost can't say too much about it because I need to listen to it a few more times, but obviously I was able to listen to the full thing while we were off camera, and just incredible. It starts out very kind of slow and, like you said, reflective, and then has just an amazing build. Lots of Neil Young and Stephen Stills type guitar work, but it just really works very powerfully. Yeah, I really like that.
It's a real strong track, and it's slightly more atypical from the rest of the album, but the entire album is really strong. I don't think there was a single bad track on this whole album, in my opinion, that I did not find myself enjoying. And so yeah, Shelby Lynn, you are converting me over into a fan here, and big time. So yeah, and thank you for making such a strong album.
Yeah.
So anyways,
thanks for bringing that in. Very impressive. I've actually brought in something very different.
Okay.
It's a reissue of the Knack Zoom. Now, the Knack,
My Sharona.
Exactly. They burst on the scene, everybody knows, in 1979 with My Sharona.
Yeah.
Where, Get the Knack was a humongously successful, big album. There was a kind of a backlash against the Knack, in part because the comparisons with the Beatles, which were probably unfair. They were not the Beatles. I don't think they ever said they were trying to be the Beatles, but that's...
Was it just the suits?
Yeah, maybe the suits, could have been the album cover, could have been that it was power pop, you know, kind of that melodic pop and stuff like that. But whatever the case is, the band had kind of drifted, or people hadn't heard much about them. And then apparently My Sharona was successful again in the movie Reality Bites, in the soundtrack, got in the public sphere again. So the band went back in the studio, did another album called Zoom, and the late Don Feiger, who was the leader of the Knack, I guess has been known to say that this was his favorite Knack album, and I can see why. It's terrific. I had never heard it back in the 90s or since its original release. It's just been reissued with a bunch of great demos and bonus tracks by Omnivore Recordings, and I just love this album.
Okay.
And so what we're going to do first is we're going to listen to the second song on the CD. A little bit of that is called Can I Borrow a Kiss? And let's listen to a little bit of that one.
All right, let's see what happens.
And again, that's the Knack, one of the songs on Zoom, and it's called Kind of Borrow a Kiss. And because this is a reissue, like I said, and there's some great demos and rarities and things like that, might be interesting for people to know is actually the drummer for Missing Persons and Frank Zappa, Terry Bozzio, and I always have trouble with his name, but he actually joined the band for this for this album. So
he's a great drummer.
Yeah, an amazing drummer, very propulsive. You know, really powers some of the songs. You don't hear it on this particular song, but I think you'll hear a little bit more of that the next song we play. But actually, it's kind of neat because I even do a version of one of the demos they do on here is recording with him, playing with him on My Sharona. We're not going to hear that one today, but it's kind of great to hear what he brings to that song. Zoom comes in a standard jewel case. Very neat. I love the Rickenbacker, but how they put their, their Zoom on the back there. Kind of cool. And then it comes with a very nice booklet. Doesn't have the lyrics, but it has some really neat pictures and remembrances from some of the original members of the Knack too and stuff. Yeah, so very nice. Yeah,
I got a chance to look at that booklet during the break, and I was impressed how there's not lyrics. There is a little track by track, kind of like written discussion about each song, its genesis, what it's about, how it came about, that sort of thing, which I enjoy as much as getting the lyrics. Actually, if I can't get the lyrics, I enjoy that equally. To be honest.
Because when Don sings, you definitely can hear the lyrics. There's no problem deciphering what he's singing about. So yeah, that's almost like a real treat. And these reissues are really nice. They're actually reissuing. Zoom is the first one of them, but apparently they're reissuing the final 3 albums that the Knack that they did. One's this one, and I haven't listened to it yet, but this next one is called Normal as the Next Guy, and I'm looking forward to hearing that one this next week or so. That one comes out in June of 2015, and but Omnivore always does a great job with their reissues. These are lovingly, kind of they assemble what music's out there, what can they bring that hasn't been heard before, and really make these packages worth the while for collectors. Cool.
Now, these reissues, is that going to include the debut album? The big,
I don't believe.
Or is that owned by another label?
I don't know. I know that came out on Capitol. Yeah. Famously, it was like one of the fastest selling Capitol debuts since the Beatles or something like that. But
it was huge. Yeah. That single was huge.
But I think that was reissued a few years ago. I don't have it, but I want to say that's already been reissued not too many years ago. But
it occurs to me that I just know the song, My Sharona. I have never listened to that debut in its entirety. Never. I've never heard any other song, but I know actually there was one of the songs.
Good Girls Don't.
Good Girls Don't. Yeah, it was a good song.
That
was a good song, but I've never heard the entire album.
My younger brother actually had it and wore out that record, so I used to hear it all the time. I would, especially after rediscovering the Knack via Zoom, I actually would like to go back and listen to that again. And and doing some reading, preparing for the show, it is kind of sad. Apparently, Zoom, the band really put a lot of love and care into this album, and I don't think it landed them back on the world stage. It's probably it deserved. As the band deserved. Kind of tragically, but again, it's a great album. And let's listen to one a little bit faster and harder and stuff. And this one is called Terry and Julie Step Out. Okay, and let's listen to a little bit of that one.
I'm game.
This retro thing isn't happening, so you better cut it out. You would sell your future for a past that you never can find.
Day Tripper, Baby You Can Drive My Car, right in that period, right there is where I hear this kind of fitting in. I can definitely feel Terry Bozzio's drums, like you talked about propelling the song.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go behind the scenes here a little bit and backtrack a little bit. The last song, once someone wrote us on YouTube and commented and said, you guys seem just like everything that you hear.
Yeah.
And I said, actually, no. Now, granted, we're bringing our top picks. We're bringing the stuff we think is the best when we do this together. But sometimes you can tell when one of us doesn't like the song the other person brought in, or is just doesn't feel strongly about it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel strongly enough.
Because we don't say anything about it. We just don't comment. That first song you played, to be honest, first listen, I could change my mind after a few more listens. Didn't feel that strongly. But during that break, while we were listening, I was looking at the book, and I noticed a song called Pop Is Dead.
Right, you get the lead-off track.
That title alone, I said, Robert, I got to hear this. So I played it, and I was floored by it within 60 seconds. I was floored by it. But it's like I said, these are your picks, not my picks. And if I was doing this, I might be picking different songs.
And I have to say, I generally, and you probably feel the same way. I get so many albums. I listen to so much music, being a music writer and stuff, that I am able to pick some of my top picks. And generally, if I bring an album to the show, it's because I like either all of it or the majority of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And Zoom is one of those albums where, like, I didn't know what to expect. I said, yeah, the Knack. I go, a reissue, I'm definitely going to put that in there. And I was floored by how much I enjoyed it. I mean, it recalled some of the great albums by Shoes and some of these other seminal power pop bands that, like, came along after the Raspberries and Badfinger that kind of kept the torch of kind of what the Beatles had started alive, you know, with the Rickenbacker guitars and kind of like what REM did in its early days and things like that. And and all I can remember is kind of like a lot of times the Knack was, put down or what they made fun of them, and it's like it was never really justified. It wasn't their fault that radio played My Sharona to death and didn't really pick up on other songs off the album. That's so. But those things. But anyway, whatever you've heard or not heard, definitely you want to go out and check out the Knack. It's great.
I'll be honest. I have not gotten tired of My Sharona. I really haven't. I'll be honest. No, I really haven't. I have not gotten tired of that song.
It's a great song. Yeah, it is a great song.
And hearing you talk about this, I never gave them much thought beyond that song, though. And hearing you talk about, I thought maybe they were just I just figured one-hit wonder band. They had this one great song, because I had heard a lot of negative things about them too, but not listened. And but based on this track and the one I heard that we didn't play on the show, Pop is Dead, I'm ready to explore more of the album. Great, in my opinion. So
good. Well, there you go. So at least I've turned one person onto the Knack. So that's perfect. My job is accomplished. Yeah, mission accomplished.
One unit. There we go. But cool. Well, thanks for bringing that in.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing in Shelby Lynn. I mean, some really good albums here. I think
it's a great album, and hopefully more people will check it out. And so thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the show if you have already done so. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the show with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. We appreciate it more than words can say. Help us grow our channel, help us grow the show, and help us to expose more great new music to more people. Yeah. And till next time, my name is TJR. Check out my website, tjrmusic.com, where you can check out my music and join my mailing list. I'll send you some free MP3s.
And my name is Robert Kinsler, and you can read more of my work at ocregister.com, and of course right here at musicworthbuying.com.
Yes, check out all of Robert's articles at musicworthbuying.com. Okay. All right.
Well, I guess that wraps it.
That wraps it up. We'll see you next time.
Hey, see you later, everybody.
Take care. Bye.